Okay, we are officially live broadcasting on Facebook. So we are here for Spotlight Sunday today with Wendy, and I'm so excited to hear from Wendy all about mindset and all kinds of amazingness. So before we dig in too far, I would love it if you could just take a minute to introduce yourself, Wendy. Tell us like what exactly your business does and how you got started, all of that good stuff. And I will get this shared in all the places so everybody can watch us live while you're doing that. Cool?
Great. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me, first of all. And yes, so my name is Wendy Manganaro. I am the person at the doctor's office where they go, Wendy, and I'm like, it's me. So, but my business is called Social Abundance Marketing. And I was just thinking about this some amazingly way. It's been almost 6 years. August will be 6 years that I am in business, and it seems to have just flown. And so I am a marketing strategist. I am the person who looks at a company either through coaching or corporate and say, okay, everybody's working in a silo. Let's pull this all together and make it work so that you have one cohesive marketing plan, one cohesive voice, one cohesive brand, and whether it's like, and everybody knows when they look at you that because they understand your language and who you are. So that's what I do. I look at what's happening in business, and whether it's a website or social media or branding, and I don't do all of that. I say, you need to hire this person. It all has to, or we have to get everybody communicating on the same point. So I kind of go in and I do the strategy, and then I can come in as a project manager to make sure that it's all flowing and everybody's communicating. And then of course stay on your budget. So it's kind of exciting. I love, it's like putting puzzle pieces together for me. And it's my favorite thing to do.
Fun. Yeah, that's super fun. So what type of clients do you work with? That sounds like the exact opposite of what I do. So I'm like really interested to hear, like, how big are the teams, and is it like big corporations or just like local businesses? Or
so I work usually with 2 to 3 corporate companies at a time, and then I usually do 6 coaching clients at a time, and I don't do more than that because I know my limits. So I have a team that helps me make people look good after I do the strategy, and then but a lot of the stuff I refer out to, because I don't do websites, but I can look at a website and tell you what you need to do to make it all kind of I look at your social media and I'm like, why aren't you talking? Let's make this consistent, So I work with large corporations, but I would say small to medium-sized businesses, and then I work with the solopreneur. I love working with women-owned businesses that are just starting and they have or those who've been in business 3 to 5 years and they're ready to up level. And when I say up level, they're ready to stop saying that I have to do this all by myself and keep it this small because I can't grow. Some of the mindset stuff, I can't grow into the next level. And we go, okay, yeah, but if you did let some of this go and you did have this marketing strategy, these are the next levels of what you can see in your business. Are you ready to go there? So that's kind of how I do that. But it's all based on, let's look at your market, your strategy, your target market. I do a lot of in-depth, looking at other companies that do something similar to yours, what's working, what's not. And most of the time, big secret, most of the companies that I look like, they're not doing enough on social. They're not doing enough on digital. And I'm like, I really think they're winning, but they're really not. And this is how you set yourself apart from that.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a big gap there. Like the solopreneur type people are usually like all about social media, but there's this huge gap in even medium-sized companies and huge corporations. So that's really cool. I remember sitting in my cube years ago and be like, why are we not doing anything online? This is so silly. We're like a huge corporation in hundreds of countries, or like 120 countries, I think. And we had like 6,000 people on our email list. What are we doing?
What are we doing? And people don't know it either. They're like, we don't know what to say. And that has a lot to do with it, is that learning how to speak to your audience has a lot to do with that. They just don't know. So,
So definitely super important. I love it. Okay, cool. So I'm really excited. I love how you're mixing the mindset with the marketing because it's so important. I'm really excited to dig in. But I have to ask my branding question first. Yeah, just what is your definition? That's really all it is. There's no right or wrong.
My definition is what makes your company your personality. Like really what makes you you, because I had gone, when I went to go get my master's in business with a marketing track, there was one like lesson. I took loads of things and I was like already 3 years in the business. So I'm like, if I don't pass marketing, I'm in big trouble. Like I was like really upset if my strategy didn't get an A. That was like the one class that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried. It did, and I felt better. So I was like, well, maybe I've been on the right track. But standing out in your marketplace so that you're not the next Uber, because you don't want to be the next Uber. You want to be yourself and what your brand stands for. So for me, branding is all about the personality of your brand, and that other people understand that personality, and that's what it's attracted to, and that whether.
Oh, I think I lost you. Are you there? Oh no. I hate when Zoom freezes. It's so awkward. Let's see here.
They look at your brand on your business. Is that better?
That's better. We're back.
Again. So anyway, so to me, branding is making sure that everything matches, as far as even the look, and knowing that you're not going to attract everybody. Everybody has this thing like, I have to have 50 million followers. Well, that's great if that's what happens and that you work toward that. But it's also great that if you have 300 that buy from you constantly because you're the it person. I'm not always in the mindset of more is better. I'm always in the mindset is that you have really true customers and a tribe, and they're really excited about working with you, and they know who your brand is and willing to share that with other people.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah. Followers do not equal dollars. It's so important to understand. So I love it.
So yeah. Cool. Yeah, but the thing about that is that standing out, not.
Yeah, that standing out piece is so important, and just getting that personality to come through. So I love that you said personality. Oh no, we're frozen again.
Being the next somebody else, not like you're frozen again. Oh no, now you're moving. And actually, I call because my business is called Social Abundance Marketing. My nickname for it is Sam, and everything is like this. And it is. It's like my living, breathing person that I have a lot of energy with, and I'm passionate about, and I'm excited about doing every single day. So
I love it. Yes. Okay, cool. Perfect answer. Awesome. So let's dig in then. I'm going to type in the 5 things as we go too. So that's what I'm doing when I'm not looking at the camera. So the 5 ways your mindset is standing in the way of your marketing. I'm so freaking excited because this is, I already know it's going to be so good. These are mindset is key. You can learn all of the marketing things.
For me, mindset is so key. And, it's a really strange dichotomy. So when I started my business, I'm going to give you a little background so that you understand kind of where I came from. I came from a nonprofit life, right? And so you beg, borrow, and steal in nonprofit. It's basically what you do. And you say, but it's for helping people. So do the it's this mindset. But you have a large expectation to get everything for free there, right? And so but it also comes from a place of lack. Like we never.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Never have enough for the and then I left a nonprofit, and then I left oops, start my video.
Okay, we're back. Okay, good.
We're back. Okay, it said so I left a nonprofit, and then I went into a business partnership, and what was happening was I realized that in this business partnership, you learn great lessons in life, and so I had followed this woman because she was a little bit longer in marketing and advertising. She had a boutique agency, and I folded my first original company in hers. And what I realized was that we were constantly trying this, and this, and never worked. Like it just that we just kept trying to recreate everything. So, and then if we heard something negative, we'd say, okay, that's not going to work. And we'd go flip to something else. And it was like this constant, like, oh, my head hurts, like trying to do we would take hours and hours to do a proposal. It was so, and I was like, this isn't good. So when I started my company, there was a couple things. And for women entrepreneurs, I know this through working through women. We don't charge enough usually. We just don't. And pricing is scary. And then we get with these people and we start to doubt why this marketing tactic is not going to work. So that's when I say that this marketing tactic or this isn't going to work, is like, I hear things like, I can't post it on my personal my page. My friends are going to be upset about this, or I can't like this or this. And I'm like, oh, but let's stop that. What is this that really is going on? I was on with somebody not too long ago, and they told me why this wasn't going to work with this particular target market. And I'm like, do you really know that? They're like, no, I just like, and I'm like, okay, so, and sometimes the stop listening to others about why it's not going to work is really our own brains. Yeah. Like, we have set all the defaults in our brains of why this won't work. And yes. So one of the things that I do with my part of coaching with me is like, the first call is all about mindset. Mm-hmm. And I go down through, like, what does your day look like? Okay. And what do you think you can't do and let's just get this all out on the table, because, or this won't work because this target market won't like it. Or if I don't charge this price, they won't hire me, or whatever it is. And so then I have them do writing to say this will work. So I'm really big on the affirmations of not that this will work later, that this starts to work right now in our life, because it's only literally our minds that are telling us it's not. And I always tell my clients the one thing that I had to learn, even for myself, was like, because I could get fearful marketing to a new target market, or I could get fearful going into that next customer and saying, I'm not good enough. I don't know why they would hire me. Like, what do I have to offer? And so I literally tell myself anytime that I get into that mindset, and is that I say things like this. I say, thank you for sharing. I tell my brain this, thank you for sharing. The adult self is going to take over.
I love it.
To protect me. I thank you for that, because I don't want to ignore it, because it is a reality. And especially if you got turned down, and what I have a tendency to do, and I know that a lot of entrepreneurs that I've talked to, or women business owners, is like if I look at my portfolio of who I've worked with, there's some amazing large clients, small clients, but they're all amazing people, right? And then I won't get this one client. I'll be like, yep, the whole thing didn't work. I stink. Close up the doors now. and so that's really not true. Right. So what I say for that is that if you have a marketing thing that you're willing to try, right? Really try it. Don't give up 2 minutes. Like, don't get 2 minutes into it. Like really say, like, okay, let me look at my end result. What is my end result? So, and I may have to tweak it, but I don't need to stop the whole thing based on fear. I love it. So that's the one thing that I say is, like, stop it, whether it's like your friends and families, like, and the other thing is like early on, and even for me, and trying to make this shift into like this little business into a real business, because like they're like, how's that little business going? I'm like, my little business is not little, and it's doing really well, thank you. So standing in that, but taking the actions to actually make that matter, because there's a lot of people will say, like, oh, you just open a business, you throw some Facebook ads online, and you're going to make $1 million. Well, no, there's a lot of like steps in between there. But stepping into that and saying, I'm ready for it, and how can we show up for that today? Cool. I love it. So the next thing that I say is, stop saying the social media channel is for this age group, so it won't work for me.
Ooh, that's a good one. Especially Instagram. I hear that about Instagram all the time. And Facebook.
And
But,
Facebook
and
and,
Facebook.
Snapchat and Pinterest. And interestingly enough, every time I do a survey, because I do surveys when I do strategy, I'll always say, what social media platforms are you on? And it's amazing how many people like will say like Facebook and Twitter or whatever they say, right? And then we'll get to like, what blogs do you follow? And they write Pinterest in. And I'm like, okay, social media, but that's all right. Like, but it gives me a lot of information. But
Yeah.
as far as that saying that, what I really have learned is there's a self, when people start to say, well, that's not for my age, my group, it's because they're uncomfortable in it.
Right.
Nothing to do with whether or not that's real. They have no basis. Like, and I'm always like, well, did you survey people and see if that's real? Like let's actually like ask your target market. It's a crazy thing when I tell people like, well, let's find people who could be in your target market and ask them what they actually do on social media. It's amazing how many people build marketing plans without ever actually talking to them. I'm like, but you know, and so when I hear things like that, or the other thing is when they say it's like, well, I just don't like Facebook. Like, I don't understand it, so I'm gonna, and here's at the end of the day, this is about your target market, right? So if it's about your target market, it's not about you. If you want your growth, the growth of your business is about you and what you put into it. But at the end of the day, it's about reaching people who are ready and waiting for you to show who you are.
Right. Yeah.
And so if you're in fear because you think this isn't going to work, you've stopped yourself from them ever hearing. And what I find is when businesses do that, when they limit themselves to like, well, that won't work for my age market, or this won't work because I don't like it, or what I find is that it stunts the growth of the business.
Yeah.
It truly does, because there might be an uncomfortability, but until you can get past that uncomfortability and be consistent, and that, you know, whatever consistent looks for your plan and your company, but there needs to be some consistency in the uncomfortability until it's not uncomfortable anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's the key with that too. Like, it's okay to not like it, but until you can, you know, get used to that or get over it, I feel like you do have to have your energy behind it. And if you're going on there every day, being consistent, but you're like, I effing hate this, and posting crappy stuff because you don't care, then it's still not going to work. Right. But it's figuring out like where your people are and which ones you can actually like put the right energy into, for sure.
For sure. And so I think that's really good. And the other thing is like, so for people who, so this is just on another side note about that though. It's amazing. So for a while I was getting asked, just because I've worked in digital so long, and so people would ask me to come and do like parent groups to teach them about social media because their kids are on it. And I would do this crazy exercise and I'm like, all right, let's stand up. And I'm like, everybody who's in Facebook, go to this group. But if you're also on Twitter, come over here. And if you're also, and like, so by the time we get to like Ask FM or something crazy like that, like whatever the newest thing is, there's like 2 people over on this side of the room, and there's still the biggest group on Facebook. But my point is that I'm like, okay, so you, the parents, have stayed in Facebook, right? That's where you're comfortable. That's where you've stayed. And you've now given your children all licenses to drive all over the place without giving them any lessons on how to drive there. And so it's the same thing in marketing, is if your target market is all over the place, you're giving everybody else, every other company, a license to sell to them without being even in the share. Because even if there's 1 or 2, they're still there.
Yeah.
And somebody else is sweeping them up, and they really could be perfect for your tribe. You just don't know it because you've been too afraid to move down and learn how to drive it yourself. So that's kind of my thing about that, you know. And it's amazing to me because everybody's like always in Facebook and they never move. Like, okay. And the fact of the matter is that the other thing is that all of the times when we don't move, those are our potential clients. They may not be that today, but they may be tomorrow. And if you don't start doing touches with them today, they're going to not know you exist when they need you.
So how would you recommend, like, I know most of us in this group are that like solopreneur or just starting out. So for those of us just starting who don't have like unlimited resources to hire people to help with all these different platforms, how do you recommend getting started? Like, you're already on Facebook, fine, but how do you branch out without, hiring 10 people to help you manage it?
So, and here's the thing, when people start, and I tell this to, I do tell them to pick at least two that you can really 100% head in focus on. But don't pick the two until you talk to like your audience. Like, don't say like, I'm going to be on Snapchat and don't know if it, you know what I mean? So talk to, and it could be your friends. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but a lot of times what I will do is on their Facebook pages, or I tell them to say, ask, what two platforms do you spend the most time with? Take a survey. It could be that simple. You don't have to overcomplicate this. But once you know what it is, if you're like, let's say you're posting 5 days a week on Facebook and that's your thing, you feel comfortable, you got a group grown, great. But you're really afraid of this Instagram thing, what I tell them is even if you're using it as a funnel to go back to Facebook or back to Instagram, at least do 2 to 3 posts. You don't have to recreate the whole wheel. You can harness your post in a way that you're just always looping back to the one you're more comfortable with, but I wouldn't not be on it at all. So, and because we can upload videos to Facebook, upload them to IGTV. It's like a simple thing where that you're in 2 platforms without really having to go crazy about it. So it's not about that you have to be like, oh, I've got to come up with all this content. What I am crazy about, and some people agree and don't, is that I don't use hashtags on Facebook, so I don't like linking things, and because everybody's like, why is that at not linked to anything because it came from Instagram? So that I'm really kind of passionate about that, is that like just copy and post and add those hashtags in the Instagram, like, but you don't have to be crazy about it. It just has to make sense for that audience. It has to make sense for the Instagram or the Snapchat but you don't have to recreate the world. You just have to kind of maybe re-summarize the world slightly. That's it.
Cool.
So the next thing is stop saying I don't have time to do my marketing. Okay. So here's the thing. I don't know about you, but I have fallen victim of this. I know many entrepreneurs fall victim of this. And what it does is that we see things like, I've got too many clients. I don't have time to do this. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, but at some point in time, your clients are going to fall off. And so this whole idea that I don't have time to market, I don't have time to market, I don't have time to market, it really hurts your business, because you go into like really busy making money times and you're like nothing, and you're like, what happened in between? So part of the mindset around that I say is that is purposely, intentionally write marketing into your schedule for business building. So and the difference for me is business building is like, if you're not consistently making the same amount of money that you want to make for 6 months, you're in business building. If you're in lighter marketing on the other side, that you're just trying to kind of keep those funnels filled. But what is really important is that when you look at your calendar, there has to be a point in time where you say, no, I'm not going to have any distractions. I'm going to sit and I'm going to either do my marketing, figure out my marketing, but I'm going to put this in my calendar because it's what is going to be most important to continue the growth of the business. Yeah. And this is what I really am key on lately, is that don't think that even things like getting a testimonial isn't part of your marketing. Yeah. Because, oh my gosh, that's a quick Facebook thing, or Instagram or Snapchat, when you get somebody that says things. But we don't take the time to even ask because we're too busy, and then we feel bad because it's 6 months later and we didn't get the you know what I mean?
Awkward.
So even if you took 3 hours and said, okay, what's going to be the process? So I always have the right letter to ask for that testimonial. I can always send them to their, you know what I mean? Like, and just kind of build that out so that you're not recreating the wheel. Cause I don't know about you, but I don't know any. So like there's many, I shouldn't say any, there's many entrepreneurs I work with and they're always like, well, it's in an email there. I don't have it. I got to look for it. And then it takes more time than they know they need it to. And it's really about setting intentions of what's important in your business.
Yeah.
I'm really clear about, most of the world is, you're judging yourself on the intention of getting it done while the rest of the world is judging you on the action of actually doing it.
Right.
So in order for my intentions to match my actions, I have to say, okay, what's really important? And in continuing to build my business, continuing to market my business, if that's important, it's gonna be in the calendar. It's not gonna be a feast or famine, because guess what? Your clients will respect you if you respect your own time.
Absolutely. That's so true.
And and I'm really clear, like when clients can reach me, what they can reach me for, and when they cannot.
Yeah.
And the reason why I do that, it sounds like other people are like, aren't you afraid you're going to lose your clients? No, I'm afraid that if I don't let them know what my boundaries are, they're going to continue to cross boundaries. And then I'm not going to like working with them. They're not going to like working with me, and it's not a good fit. So when you're intentional, you write things in your calendar and you shut off the phone. You shut off the emails. And you say, okay, I'm going to work on this process, or I'm going to build my marketing out, or whatever that is, so that you take the time and space to do what you need to do for your company so that you can leave a legacy and continue to grow.
Cool. I agree.
All right. So now the next one is stop saying I don't know what to write. Oh my goodness. I don't know about you, but I hear this all the time. I don't know what to write on Facebook. I don't know what to write on.
Supposed to say.
What am I gonna say? And it's like amazing. You'll get on a phone, like you talk to them about their business and they can go on for hours. They get in front of a computer and they're like, yep, nothing. Got nothing. Like it amazes me. So here's what I've learned is that if you take the practice of writing, like even, this is where I start a lot of people with, is like write the top 10 things you're asked. Like write the top 10 topics you're asked. Okay. Once you have those top 10 topics, break them down in how you would answer them day by day for 5 days. Like you don't have to give everybody everything in one day. Because a lot of people would be like, well, I wrote about that. I'm like, you wrote one post about it. Like, so here, like, for instance, we'll use this. For instance, if I'm asked constantly, what should I write about? Because that's what I'm asked constantly. The first day, I could tell a story about how I used to feel the same way, which is true. Like I'm in marketing, I'd be like, what am I going to write about? So everybody's thinking about hearing about this. But the fact of the matter is that this is what people have to hear, is that they are the expert in their field, no matter what. Yeah. People are coming to them because they know at the end of the day more about that subject matter than the person coming to them. Mm-hmm. Every time. Yep. Every time. And that's a really hard mindset, because we go like, but people should know this. But they don't. That's not their expertise. Yeah. You're the only expert that they are coming to you for that expertise. So they're not going to get sick of you writing about your expertise, because that's what they're coming to you for. So like, if for instance, is that,
I was just going to say, I think that ideal client research comes in a lot there too, because it's like, you don't know what you don't know. So I get that a lot with the design stuff. I struggled with that at the beginning because it's common sense to me. Like, don't cram your logo in the corner. You don't know what you don't know. So I think that doing that research and like asking questions in the first place, like what do you have questions about, helps a ton with that.
Helps a ton with that, and all that because, and even when I do clarity call, that's my bit, like what are you actually struggling with? Because that helps me. It helps me know what to write about myself. It helps me answer their questions, and things like, like, I still have people who are like, yep, don't know what a hashtag is. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how you don't know how to have, but there are still people out there. So I always have to assume that I'm the expert and I'm going to know a little bit more. And it's really funny because for a long time, I just concentrated, I didn't do full strategies. I just concentrated on social media. And it was so weird because no matter how many times I'd go in and teach a social media, like I used to actually teach social media, like this is where the ads manager is, and I don't do that anymore, but at one point in time I did. And what always amazed me is that there was two people in every workshop I did. One who knew nothing, that could have derailed the whole thing because she didn't even know. Like, I'll never forget, I had one place that didn't know how to control click or get to open up a file. That I was like, okay, that like that person was in the class, and then somebody else who was in the class who was like, I know everything about social media, you're not going to teach me anything. Like, you'll always have those two polar opposites. And here's what I've learned about that is that no matter what, I can add value.
Yeah.
And if I can't add value, then that's not my client, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Perfectly okay. Right. And I could refer them to somebody who can add value.
Yeah.
And I'm good. I'm great with that. So, but as far as writing though, if you can take your top 10, like write down the top 10 things you're asked the most, like just start taking notes. Like, what am I always asked about? Write those down. And then I tell people to break them up into mini stories. You can tell a story like on Monday about how you struggled and how you got over whatever that frequently asked question is. And then the next day you can tell a client story. The next day you could do a little video. A third day you can do a how-to. And then by Friday, you've given enough value that you can actually ask for an offer. But you're not rushing into just buy from me. You've actually had a little bit of storytelling, and they don't have to be 6 pages long. These could be shorter posts or shorter 3-minute videos, but you have all of the information to be an expert and write yourself. Now, if you choose not to write yourself because you just don't like writing, and this is what I tell people too. Ask people what formats they want things in. Like, ask your target market. Do they want videos? Do they want blogs? Do they want, what do they really want? Because like, if you're a restaurant, for instance, and you're like, I don't know people love food pictures. They just love it. Like, so just ask what they want so that you don't have to necessarily, like, I've had photographers go, well, I don't know what to post. I'm like, well, your picture is like, you can tell a story in a blog without having to do so much writing, so you can have a little bit of your comfort zone, but still give your audience what they're looking for.
Right. There's always a way to do it. Or I get that one all the time too. Like, I hate writing. I don't know what to say when I write. I'm like, well, don't write then. Just do a video and then have it transcribed. and then you have both. Like, there's always a way to figure it out, for sure.
There's always a way to figure it out. So that's really key to me, is allowing yourself to, like, yes, be yourself, but also knowing how to do this. Like, don't recreate the wheel. Like, you don't have to recreate the wheel with your content. You don't have to recreate the wheel with telling your story. It's your story. Now, the uncomfortability of writing your own story, that's a whole other mindset thing, because people go, well, I don't know what to write because I don't know what my story is. And so that's where I have people spend time journaling, really getting down to what they do, who they are, so that they know what they're offering and who they are. Because it's uncomfortable to feel raw, and you have to feel like where you can write and what you can share that's in your own comfort level. Cool. It's really cool, key. So, and then my last thing, stop saying anything and start being intentional about your marketing. Is that, a lot of people will do this. They're like, well, I posted yesterday and I posted in the morning, and I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, yeah, it didn't really work, because there's no intention set behind what they're doing. It's really just like, spotty and let me try this and let me try that. And they don't really, and it goes back to the first thing of like really standing in your own and being comfortable with the marketing that you choose and sticking to that and not jumping 3,000 things. But it's really important to be consistent in marketing.
Yeah.
And so part of that is like, again, it goes back to like, okay, am I intentionally going to be consistent in what I offer, how I offer, and where I offer it? Those are the three things, like how, what, and where. And so being able to sit down and say, okay, this is who I am. This is what I'm comfortable with doing. This is where I'm going to be able to stretch outside of that. And now I'm going to do all of my journaling so that I feel comfortable doing this day in and day out. And really walking into the worthiness of it. Because I don't know about you, but I've had clients, they're afraid of things. This is all the fears I've heard like through the years. I'm afraid they're going to leave a negative comment. Afraid they're going to hide my stuff. I'm afraid that they're not going to like it. I'm afraid I'm going to annoy my friends. I've heard like all of this when it comes to marketing. Yeah. And at the end of the day, if we don't get out of that uncomfortableness and we start worrying about literally what other people are saying and doing, as opposed to just being ourselves and doing in our own marketing, we're not going to have a business.
Right.
Because we cannot continue to be smaller for fear of what other people are going to say.
Yeah.
They're all going to say something. That's great. They're paying attention. Even if it's negative, you may not feel comfortable, but they're paying attention. And so there's something that you're doing right that they have found the need to say anything at all. Even if it's made them uncomfortable. And that's the truth of it, is that when we don't play small, when we allow ourselves to grow and shape into who we are, who our brand is, what our marketing is going to be, then we allow our business to really flourish and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not scary anymore and then we said, and all of that drifts into the next thing. Because the other thing is like, I'll go through my clients and they'll say, well, I don't know if I'm going to have enough money. I don't know. And so I'll say, okay, let's look at your clients and let's look at what you're bringing in. Like, you don't have to tell me, but
yeah.
Like we do a thing where I'm like, okay, so let's look at where your clients are and how many you have, what you're bringing in every month. And a lot of times they do it, they're like, I'm making more money than I thought. I'm like, it's amazing when we actually look at this. And the side of that is that they also, we can look at it and I'm like, why are we taking 80 clients when you really could do 4 really well? Because the other thing about marketing and knowing where and who your business is most of us, at least, and I could be wrong, but most of entrepreneurs get into business because they want a certain lifestyle. Yeah. And then they jump in their business and they start working 80 hours a week and they no longer see their kids, their spouses, they're like, and they're doing great, but they're miserable because they went back to a corporate lifestyle that they didn't want. You know what I mean? That mindset of I've got to work, I've got to do. And so then they forget why they started it and then they get burnt out and then they don't like their business anymore. Right. And it really boils down to knowing what you're worth.
Yeah.
And not taking those small jobs anymore, because out of fear and lack, instead of saying, okay, if I don't take that small job, I'm holding space for the right job.
Yeah. I love it.
That's another thing that I do with a lot of my clients, is learning how to say, okay, this is scary, but I can't hold space for something small when something's great supposed to be there, that I'm really supposed to, and it's through this marketing and business building that I'm attracting that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. And that I like that strategy too. That's what we do in all of my programs. We start with like, figure out what we want our life to actually look like. Like, screw the business for just a second. Let's figure out our end goal and then make sure we're on track to get there. And numbers, like, look at your stinking numbers, not just money, but like open rates, click rates, website analytics, everything. Like, you have to know if it's working, because I think you mentioned this too. We have the tendency sometimes to just like, oh, it's not working, I'm going to quit. When in reality, it could be working. Like, if you don't look at the numbers, you don't know. So I really like that you bring that up too, because that's such a huge part of it that gets skipped a lot.
Yeah, it's really funny is like a lot of times they're like, well, this didn't, and I'm like, you don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and the other side of that, which is an interesting point is, and I don't know how much you deal with this, but I'm sure you do, is that I just did a blog on this and just talking to another business. They're like, we have a small marketing budget. Okay. But we just did this mail thing. Like, okay, well, what's your return? Well, I don't know how we test that. And I'm like, okay. So the other thing too is really knowing for your marketing, like what your budget really is and really understanding like what really is working and what's not, because it's amazing how many people still do tradition because again, it's about fear. It's about fear of not understanding digital, and it's okay to do. I'm not opposed. I'm not like one of those like don't do any traditional. If it's working, great, that's fantastic. But know if it is, and don't allow fear to not allow you to do digital because you're just used to doing it this way.
Exactly. And a lot of that fear, like you said, it comes from just not understanding either how it works or not knowing how to track it. And I think that's definitely a big mindset shift. So I focus mostly on online businesses. So I have very few that do any traditional marketing, but a lot of them come from doing it traditionally and are switching to online. So they end up finding that it's so much easier in the end because it's so much easier to track your ROI and like, is this actually helping versus mailing something out. But kind of what I've learned too, though, is everything will work if you do it. Like you can send out stuff in the mail and even though they might not buy something right then, like it's creating that brand awareness and it's, everything is working. That's what I always like. As long as you're doing it and your energy is behind it and you feel good about the content that you're putting out, at the end of the day, you kind of just have to trust that it's working for the right person. As long as you're clear that you're talking to the right person in the right place, then because I get that a lot too. The how do I know if it's working or it's not working? I want to quit thing. Like, let's wait a minute. Let's give it a little bit of time.
Well, and that's the other thing is too, is like, so I'm going to give an example. So I was working with somebody that, it was literally a brand new business. So my style of coaching is like, okay, we're going to build in these processes. And within 3 months, she went from like no clients to 6 clients, which is great. Yeah. But she wouldn't have been ready prior to if she doesn't have to, like, because I don't like to build backwards, but I also don't like to look at perfection. And what I mean by that is I'd rather have you put something out consistently and grow than non-consistently and then you say it doesn't work. But but also building a backbone of your business because you need to be ready for certain things. Like I believe in and that's part of my mindset thing is if you get things ready, meaning like I always tell people, they're like, I built the website and now I need to do social. And I'm like, let's back up. Let's do the social while you're building the website so you have a reason and you have a flow to get there. Like it's all gonna work, but let's do this way. And it's amazing to me because they'll go, well, I needed the website. I'm like, yes, you did. But if you'd like people to go to the website, we need to do things a little more consistently. So I'm not, and even for the traditional marketing, that is fantastic. And I do believe that too. I don't advise any of my clients to do like a one and done for traditional either. I really believe like either you're going to be in and you're going to go for it or not, but like don't do it once and be like it didn't work, especially. And so I try really hard to get them into the mindset of they don't have to do everything, but pick one or two things they're really going to be, whether it's traditional and sending them back to digital so they continue, so that when they search it through, I'm always like, are they searching at 3 a.m. or are they going to find you at 3 a.m.? Because at the end of the day, when they do that Google search, you want your consistent content to come up, or that brand awareness, or whatever it is. So you take those baby steps to build that. Now, and the reason why I bring that up is that the client up that I was talking about is that, it's amazing if you don't hold your ground to who you are, because a colleague had disagreed with how this worked out. And I was like, okay, that does not mean I'm going to change everything I do. And she was really upset because she thought in 2 months she should have like this many clients. And I was like, okay, I hear you, but that's not how I do things. And so knowing that in business, like who you really are, and so that you market that way. So, and she's doing great now. She went from like that to like buying herself a new car. She only opened like last year. So she's
awesome.
So she's doing great. So that's not, but standing true to who you are and knowing that, and really delving into that process and delving into that mindset of like, this is where I want to be. This is my goal. This is the steps I'm going to take to do this. And I'm not going to let those naysayers, who can be frustrating, and there'll be tears. And some days some days there's frustration and tears. It's entrepreneurship. But knowing how to get yourself out of that. And I really do believe that there are certain things that are really key to do that. And I have a business coach, and I believe in that. I know that that's not for everybody, but have somebody who's always in your corner. Like you need that person who you can, whether it's a mentor or a friend or a mastermind group or a networking group, doesn't matter where it is, but have that, like those people who are kind of ahead of where you want to be. And I'm really big about surrounding yourself by those people, because they have been through it all. And so if they have been through it all, they'll be able to kind of navigate you in the right things when your friends and your family or whoever, or people you thought, you know what I mean, were saying, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah, I fully agree with that too. And then I think the only thing I would add to that is the family and friends thing, because I hear that all the time. Well, I asked my husband, or I asked my best friend, and my first question is always, okay, are they your ideal client? Because if they're not, I don't give a crap what they think.
Right.
I want them to support you, but that doesn't mean they have to understand or agree. You know what I mean? So I get that a lot too. So, but I fully agree. And I love, the surrounding yourself with, there's a quote that I'm thinking of, and I can't think of who said it, but if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. I fully agree with that.
Fully agree with that. So really having those mentors around you and understanding, and I think too, even with the mindset, I was at a conference years ago, and it was actually the conference that made me realize I took a little road trip journey. It was a very I drove from, God love me, Texas to Louisville, where I live, to Jersey. I had lots of time.
Wow.
It was good for me, but after this conference, and I had been there with this woman, and I love this woman, but she this was the second time at that conference, and she was like, well, next year I'm going to do this. Next year I'm going to be able to do it. And I'm thinking to myself, and I remember sitting there thinking, I can't be that person that says, next year I'm going to get there. Next year I'm going to get that, and for me in my world, it's like, next year I'm going to get that marketing right and get that right clients, and really going, well, how am I going to change that to now?
Yeah.
And not, because next year will never come. My grandmother used to say, tomorrow will never come. Tomorrow, no matter what, because I'd be like, when I was a kid, I bet everything was later. I'll do it later. And she's like, it will never get here. Just do it now. And so part of your mindset is really delving into your business and your marketing and knowing what you want now and just going for it, as opposed to making sure every piece is perfect.
Yeah. So I fully agree. And that's something that, has always been a struggle for me, is the perfectionism piece. So that's where I've spent a ton of time working myself. So done is better than perfect is where I landed.
150 times over, 150 times over. And if you're really starting up and you're really, really, really feeling like this is where you want to go in your business, and you're afraid about marketing and what to do and where to go, take one action each day and just move forward.
Yes. It's
Yes.
one thing. I love that.
Like one little thing to move forward, because as soon as you stop, then that's when the naysayers. My husband actually says this line: depression can't hit a moving target. And like feeling sorry for yourself in a business can't happen if you're doing something, if you're taking the action, if you're calling potential customers or posting on Facebook, it just can't. So
true. That's awesome. Well, this has all been like so crazy helpful. So thank you so much for coming in and sharing. And I love all of these. I got them all in the comments too. So I know we have a lot of people who rewatch on Monday, since the Sunday nights are hard sometimes. So if anyone has any questions or comments watching the replay, let us know. But thank you so much for coming in and sharing all your expertise. This is so helpful. I love, again, I said this at the beginning, but the marketing and the mindset piece go together. Like they have to go together. Marketing doesn't work if your mindset is not in the right place. So
it's just not. It has to match together. Definitely has to match together.
So I so appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming in. And then if anyone has any questions, just let us know.
Yeah. I'd love to, please just tag me in a post and ask any questions you have. And I'd love to hear from you and your thoughts about how and if anybody else wants to go further into my story, I will happily let them talk to them about it, because mindset really is, it can make or break your business, learning how to get to that next step.
Cool. Your work. And then your website link and everything is in your profile. Like if they just click on your name, they can find all the info about how to. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody who popped on live. We had a few come on and pop off. So thank you for everyone that came on live, and let us know on the replay. So everyone have a great night. Bye.
Bye.